Here to help us answer that question. Today's interview with Zac Jackson from The Athletic is brought to us by Gametime. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between waiting screens, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It can be frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives you the advantage back. Gametime's fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee, so you'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, that is promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download Gametime today.
Zach, before we get into this offensive line conversation, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about baseball, really, but are you caught up in Guardians fever at all, or no?
I went on Tuesday night for the first time in about 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Yeah.
Did you go with Dustin?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd still be in bed.
He was like, no. Nah, why would I do that?
So you're caught up a little bit in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. You know?
Yeah.
My 14-year-old lives and dies.
Oh, he
with
loves
every pitch.
baseball.
Yeah. So that part of it has been really fun.
Nice. All right, let's get to this offensive line thing. Where are you? You heard what we were just discussing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, there's no realistic tackle trade.
Right.
So anything on the trade market, let's wait a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because if they're 3-3, or if they're 1-5, it's completely different things. And as far as this, like, as soon as DeJuan Jones goes down, I'm like, all right, they need one. But realistically, they have to sign someone off a practice squad. I didn't know it was going to be Thayer Munford.
Go Bucks.
Frankly, after he got cut by the Raiders, I didn't even know he was on New England's practice squad. But that's the kind of move you have to make. Get a guy who's played, who can play both sides. Because until they know about Jack Conklin, they're not set anywhere. Right?
That's true.
I mean, Levinston was not on the team 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now he's your starting right tackle unless Jack can play.
What is going on with Conklin, by the way?
He's got a significant elbow injury. Like,
okay.
He wants to play. He could not play. When he did his on-field workout the morning in Baltimore, we could tell from the press box that he was not going to play. He was in that kind of discomfort. And they listed him as a limited participant in practice last week.
Yeah.
But he was out there. He was giving it a go. There was no time. I don't want to say no chance because they left it open, but there was no time that they were like, okay, he's ready to go. Like, they started getting ready. They benched DeJuan.
Yeah.
Put him at right, and then 4 plays in, they have to make this move. So, and then again, when you change quarterbacks in a few weeks, now your right tackle becomes your blindside tackle.
That's true.
So there's a whole bunch of things at play. Like Cornelius Lucas, 34 years old, has played in the league. It's a really good signing as your swing tackle. As your starting left tackle, it's a disaster. And counting on DeJuan was a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's true.
that put, I did see him working out a little bit on the side, and it does look like he is extremely like anytime an offensive lineman is running around like they're in pain, chances are it's probably catastrophic. So I don't know how he's gonna punch and deliver hands and move guys like that. How big of a loss is it for, not just because it was DeJuan Jones and they were counting on him for this year, but it's now another major question mark on an offensive line that already had a bunch of them.
Yeah, Garrett, I mean, if you got the 5th pick in the draft, right, and I know it's week 4, but if you got the 5th pick in the draft, you might have to prefer tackle. You might have to, right? So there are some guys trending that way. It's way too early. But you knew you were going to have to address the offensive line. But right now you could make the case that it's number 1. Now, probably getting to where you want to go and ultimately being a relevant franchise probably depends on quarterback, right? But how they're shaped right now, and they just drafted 2, like, you could make the case that if they have the 5th pick, and it'll be right around there probably.
Yeah.
We'll see. You got to go that way. So how does this change? Well, the offense starts playing a little better. The defense continues to play out of its mind. They win games. They ride it out. Then the whole outlook changes. But, this is not a team that's going to win anything this year. Right? They're going to win some more games. And the defense is going to drag more teams into the kind of game last week where they get a chance to steal it at the end. But, you have a huge need, and I don't think it's a jump at all to say that the offensive line's in a complete crisis, and we're not till the first month of the season yet.
I mean, if you look going forward, don't they almost have to re-sign Wyatt Teller?
They almost
have
have
at least
to.
one steady spot?
Yeah, they almost have to, sure. And you just hope that he stays healthy and continues to play well.
It's crazy. I don't think I've ever remember a situation where you potentially have to replace 5 offensive linemen in one season.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bull, with the difficulty of making a trade. Any tackle would be available is probably on a bad team that's already given up on their season. Right. Well, those teams are bad because their offensive line is bad.
Right.
So with Bitonio, with Pocic, with Teller, they're holding it together right now.
Yeah.
And frankly, Joe Flacco did not play well, and that is quite obvious.
Yeah.
But when you go back and look, it only 1 interception and 2 sacks with the kind of pressure he was on all day.
Yeah.
There's times he kept the Browns out of big trouble just by getting rid of the ball. because he was under duress all day long. The tackles are getting killed.
Do you think that due to the fact that we have this tackle problem, don't you think it'll be more 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, which is what Kevin really specializes in?
Yeah, I think they're getting to more of like, let's let Quinshawn do it, right? And I don't think that they said last week, hey, Quinshawn's going to get 18 of our 19 runs, but that's how it worked out. Dylan Sampson, 1 carry, 2 yards.
Yeah.
Quinshawn, 18. And getting back to using Teller and Batonio and doing what you want to do. So Quinshawn's had 5 days of practice. Joel didn't practice at all. Lucas went to left tackle for the first time last week in practice. DeJuan practiced it right. Levinson wasn't on the team until August 28th. So they need to get this all together. So I didn't look up the exact formation numbers. I know that they were at multiple tight ends about 40% of the time over the first 2 games. But yeah, if they live in that 50% or more, it won't be a surprise. And if you're in these kind of close games and you're trying to win 13-10, 16-13, it might be more like 60%.
It's funny, in the first week, we were all like, man, the Bengals offense was terrible, and they won the game. This past week, the Browns offense was even worse than the Bengals offense was in week 1, and they won the game, which it's almost impossible to believe they won that game as bad as the offense
It
was.
is. It's also almost impossible to believe that they've held all 3 teams under 250 yards.
Amazing.
But they have.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, like, the numbers are the numbers,
Yeah.
but they are the number 1 total yards defense by almost 25 yards
Yeah.
going to the end of the first month. Like, that's
Wild.
insane. And
Yeah.
they're 1-2.
Yeah.
You're right. People can say they could be 2-1 and they should have won the Bengals game, but they probably shouldn't have won last week.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But it's good that they did. It's good for the vibes. It's good for the confidence. The defense needed that turnover. Everybody needed that confidence. The kicker needed that confidence boost, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got player of the week.
yeah, and you get
for
they
him.
have a clear blueprint of how they have to win.
Yeah.
When you look at how on par is the front office and Andrew and Kevin? Because after the game, I know you've seen the video that people posted of them two like celebrating, and you've seen the energy. But like when you look at where this team is, roster, how it's constructed, all these things, and we talked about it in the offseason, how you and Jason said they ain't really trying to win no games. Is there a disconnect there?
I never said that the coaches weren't trying to win games. So they are, right? And for the foreseeable future. And the players are, right? So we'll see how that goes. I don't think there's a disconnect right now, Tyvis, but I think if they don't win these next 3 weeks, it's time to get ready for the future. And I think when you look at everything, this draft, the construction of this roster, it is about the future, right? And I don't think they ever really said, hey, we're going to be playing all 4 of these rookies all the time, plus 2 undrafted rookies all the time. Yeah. But they're here. But they kept 6 undrafted rookies because they just don't have guys under contract for next year. They're playing Isaiah Bond because they just don't think they have anyone else. Like, that's how it's going. And Judkins is clearly the number 1 back, and he was always planned to be the number 1 back. Yeah. So 5 practices, go out and do it. He looks really good. I mean, Schlesinger might be the defensive rookie of the year.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
It's incredible.
So it's early, and everybody's going to be judged, and that question is going to be answered on a complete body of work. So we're 3 out of 17 there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is a team that's clearly pointing to the future in terms of, what they can actually do. But they're trying to win every week, and if the defense plays like that, they're going to have chances to win most weeks.
I think when we said it in the summer, I think it's always funny because you always got more patience in the off season. When you're in the off season and there's OTAs, you're like, yeah, I can squint. Week 8 is a nice little week to just break them in.
Yes.
We were in week 2, and people was like, I done seen enough of this Flacco experiment. It's week 3. They got the Lions, and the Lions are, they put up. They
can score.
They do some things.
They've had 1 home game and scored 53 points.
It's wild. They got 2 guys.
That one was personal.
They got 2 guys in the backfield that have over 250 all-purpose yards. I think the last 2 games they have 7 touchdowns in the air, 7 on the ground.
You talking about Sonic and Knuckles?
Yeah, them dudes. 7 in the air, 7 on the ground, no turnovers, no sacks, and a good offensive line. Are we going to see who's really, if the Browns defense comes out and does their thing against that?
Oh, my God.
On that turf?
On that,
my God.
Do you have to stamp them? Do you have to start reevaluating?
Well, I think you can't stamp them, Garrett. I think you can say they've been outstanding. They are winning the way they want to. They have the most outstanding player in the game to me. Other guys are stepping up. Carson Schlesinger's out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Like they've been awesome. So this is a hell of a challenge for sure. We'll see. But the point about the conversation is exactly right. Right before last week, we're in here like, got to fire the quarterback, got to fire everybody. This season's a disaster. They win. They don't score a point for 56 minutes. They win. And everybody's like, well, hey, let's trade for an offensive tackle.
All in, chips.
Look at what Judkins is, right?
Their second longest drive last week was 37 yards and ended with a pick. Right. I mean, that was their second longest drive.
4 plays, 14 yards or longer. 2 of them are Judkins runs. On a drive, you have an 8-minute drive in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Don't get a touchdown off of it.
Right.
And win the game.
Yeah, in fact, Judkins, that one run by Judkins was longer than any drive they had before that, which is just crazy.
And they're getting completely outplayed on special teams, too.
Yeah.
I just made his kick. The punter's been good. But the coverage units, they're getting completely outplayed on stuff.
Right.
Good teams get those hidden yards. And usually when you pull an upset, you had something like that.
Right.
But their return game, you're getting nothing out of. But, Shelby Harris blocks a field goal.
Yeah.
Kicker makes it, then they're not getting outplayed on special teams.
Right.
They're celebrating.
All of a sudden,
And obviously the Delpit pick. That's the game right there.
Sure.
Yeah,
right. If the Packers just take a knee there and punt, they win 10-3.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a great disguise. It was a great call by Schwartz. It was a great disguise by Delpit.
Yeah.
They get it, and then when they got to the second time, they didn't get cute and throw it to Luke Whippler. What do? They gave the ball to Quinshawn Judkins. They scored a touchdown, and they set themselves up to win. They still needed to block field goal and field goal, but they set themselves up to win.
What were you saying in the press box when they did the Whippler play?
Well, it was the opposite side of me, so I didn't even know who it was to. Oh. And I sit here and I look up at the replays or on the TV, and I'm like, they just threw the ball to the backup center.
What's wrong with that?
Well, if they score, nothing's wrong with it. Just like what's wrong with winning the game when you don't score for 56 minutes? Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing, right?
Oh, still got the win.
This offense is terrible.
My God.
It's terrible.
It's so terrible.
And quarterback change or whatever, they have bad tackles, they have bad wide receivers.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the quarterbacks, because I was talking to Aditi and I wanted to get into it, but I left it alone. But I'm gonna ask you. You're a straight shooter. So when we look at
Shots.
there ain't no shots.
I mean, the notes that you said she's not a straight shooter.
She can't say exactly what it is because of her relationship with
I was a team employee once.
Exactly. So I get it.
Yeah, you get it.
I can read between the lines, but he a straight shooter. Anyway, let me ask the question.
Go ahead, man.
So when you look at Baker, right? Baker towards the end. Now he had the injury and all those things, but Baker started to miss guys down the field, right? It's like the Odell situation where he had to show that he was wide open and all these things, right? Move off of him. You get Deshaun in here. Deshaun, we seen him in last season. He became check down Charlie. Couldn't really push the ball down the field. We blamed it on the shoulder. Joe Flacco this year, check down Charlie. Is it that Kevin has really beaten to them that he don't want turnovers that bad, that guys are scared to take risks?
He's scarred by the Jameis experience partly, but I think defenses are sitting back, and I think Judkins running it right at him is a part of that. I think they've had some opportunities they've just missed, and I think the tackles are so bad. I mean, there were multiple times last week where the rush was to Flacco before he finished his drop, and most of the time he got rid of it. When I went back and just looked at the stat sheet as I went to write my post-game story, I was like, how is there only 2 sacks? Because he got rid of the ball.
Right, yeah.
They were back there all day long.
Right. Ultimately, when do you think they turn the page?
After Pittsburgh.
After Pittsburgh.
But one more win in that group and a little bit of offensive improvement, which there's room for it, right? Maybe that holds it off. Because for this veteran group that they still have in this coaching set, if they're winning, they're not pulling the plug.
Right,
and right now, it will be pulling the plug just to pull the plug. At some point, the next guy has to play. And at some point, they have to be a lot better offensively in many ways, right? And they cannot keep scoring 13 points or less, But they're not doing it just to do it. And he's exactly right. Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win right now, even playing poorly. He helped them win that game.
So let me. I love this. Look, we're gonna get this. Yeah. So let me see. So to say the Browns, because I'm with you. For every game that they win, you talk yourself into 2 more opportunities to go out.
That's probably right. It's probably 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. So you got to win this week against a team you shouldn't have beat. You go beat the Lions in Detroit.
He might be the starter for the rest of the
you
year.
Looking at you 2-3, and you looking at games 2-2, and now all of a sudden you got winnable games against other people that don't look like juggernauts all of a sudden, like the Vikings. Correct. So what happens if, and this is hypothetical, what happens if they get 6-7 wins? What?
Oh, whoa!
You said 8.
Whoa!
You said 8. I said 6.
It's not like they've done it. He's saying what if
I'm saying.
I'm giving him 6-7 wins for me. That puts you in a whole middle. It's middle
It's
purgatory.
completely a different view than what we expect.
Right.
Or where it appears to be headed based on some things, right? First of all, if they win this week, there will be a special ceremony at Fawcett Stadium to put Schwartz and Myles Garrett in the Hall of Fame, like Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, just do it.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, it's fair to ask because you don't know, right? And this defense really is good enough. It's not just the one guy doing it. But what I notice when I go back is, like, they're winning. Obviously, Schwarzenegger's flying around. But they're making offenses change. That's what they do. Just the thought of how you have to defend this defensive line.
Yeah.
And that's Mason Graham, that's Malik Collins, that's all these guys, right? And guys are out of position and they're closing like crazy. They finally forced the turnover, and Myles is demanding double and triple teams every single play. And so that affects, starting on Wednesday, what teams have to do with where they line guys up and how they structure their pass plays because they're so worried about him.
And so that's the second part of the question. The second part of the question is, if they do win those 6 games, is it a possibility that Flacco plays the entire season?
Close. I mean, if you're only at 6, you're not but it's possible that he plays through Thanksgiving. I mean, if you're 5 and 7, you're not pulling the quarterback.
Yeah, right.
No,
you're not.
you're right.
So you can. There's a world where
We don't see.
you don't see none of these dudes.
I'd
you
still say
got the Flacco
I'd still say the odds of them being 5 or 7 are pretty low.
Sure.
Hey,
But listen, like,
8-9.
even if you think they're going to lose this week, right?
Right.
Like the next 2, you have a neutral site game against Carson Wentz, who wasn't in the league a month ago.
Right.
And then you
Just
haven't won in Pittsburgh, but the Steelers are clearly flawed. They're 2-1. They've gotten it done, but they clearly have issues. They've had 3 wild games.
Yeah.
They had forced 5 turnovers last week in escape. Like, they're going to get
Only
better
the
too.
Steelers are 2-1 as bad as
They're coming off their bye when you play. It's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
I just think they always looked at after 6 games is where let's really assess.
Every
where
last one of
things
them
are.
is winnable right
Like,
there.
look, the Jets.
That's all.
You come off of. They're gonna be preaching playoffs. Let's think
Guys,
about it.
Yes.
let's just keep in mind, the Browns played maybe a perfect defensive football game and barely won by the skin of their teeth.
I mean, that was a very good football team.
See, this
played.
was-
I don't know. Everybody decided the Packers were very good because they got off to a good start. I don't know that they're very good.
I think they're very good.
Do they have? I mean, who is special on their offense?
The rookie receiver's going to be special.
But he's not at this point.
But their offensive line
Tucker
got his butt
Kraft.
kicked so
Yeah.
last week. And Tucker
Right.
Kraft not at 100% is
Like the
special.
Lions got way better skill position talent than the Packers do.
Yes, and good. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I want to ask you.
The Lions rushed for as many yards in Baltimore last week, almost as many as the Browns have in 3 games.
Yeah, that's
What did
wild.
you just say?
The Lions have
Yeah.
like 225. The Browns have run for 360. They just ran for 225 in Baltimore on Monday night.
Baltimore that had a defensive tackle. Steve Becker keeps saying that. But anyways, let me ask you about the secondary. We know that people play sides, okay? Now, you got Genu, Miles Harden, I'm assuming, and Denzel. We do know that Amon-Ra St. Brown likes to work in the slot area.
Yeah.
Which one of them getting off of it? Because there's no way you telling me Miles is playing
Yeah,
the slot.
that's one of the
There's
interesting things
yeah,
to watch this
they-
week. First of all,
so-
Denzel's got to be healthy. He didn't practice yesterday. I think
really?
he'll be fine. You don't
Yeah.
need Wednesday practice,
Yeah.
right? So we'll see. But that would be because they didn't even dress Cam Mitchell last week after he got torched.
Yeah. So
So if you're the Lions, you're going right at Miles.
So let me ask you this: do you think is this a game that Genu just plays nickel and you roll Dom Jones on the outside?
Yeah, it's an undrafted rookie who's never played. That's dangerous. I think what the Lions are going to do.
They ain't got no choice.
I think the Lions are going to throw 10, 15 tunnel screens, right? Neutralize the defensive line, but get it out quick. Let Amon-Ra and Jameson try to create and go. And just they know if they get to a number, the Browns can't keep up.
And we know
They
the
get to 20,
Lions.
it's over.
The Lions do as much pre-snap movement probably as any team.
Yeah, and
right?
they want to run it right at you.
Yeah.
And if the Browns play them like they did in Baltimore, they'll force them to do other things. But I think they're going to get rid of it quick and try to move. Speaking of 20, you guys know when the last time in a non-Jameis game the Browns got 20 points was?
I only saw it because our good friend Cleve TA tweeted it this morning. So I'm going to let you guys answer it, but it's
The
quite
last
funny.
time
Flacco.
we got 20 points.
Yeah, Flacco against the Jets in the playoff clincher 2 seasons ago. And the only reason that is 20 and not 17 is because they got 18 in a game last year after they got a safety to get to 18.
God.
Oh my!
How many games did Jameis get
Is
him
that for real?
over that?
3 of his 4, they got over that.
So
Or 3 of his 5, I think.
3 of his 5.
Yeah.
So that means
He scored 20 points.
that means including the playoff game against the Texans, and including the last game in the regular season in the
Yeah,
Flacco year?
I don't really count, but if you count
All right,
that, you
but-
get to a certain number.
So if you count that, you're at 22 games where they've scored 18. Where they 16 of the last or 20 of their last 22 games they've scored 18 or less.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. It's insane.
Is that a record? I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
At least in modern
Through
football.
5 games last year, they had the lowest yards per play in modern football.
Yeah. Last year, are they
Yeah,
close?
they're slightly above it this year.
Gee.
I mean, Joe Flacco last week averaged less than 4 yards per pass attempt. That's bonkers.
Kevin's an offensive genius.
Who said? I didn't say he was an offensive genius.
I just want to be on record. I hate our playbook. I hate it. It's Madden basic balanced playbook. I mean, you be watching it and then be like, these dudes are jumping. Like, it's funny. Like, they be jumping him. Like, they know. They be like, oh, y'all running that levels concept again? Let me get up underneath this little curl route right here. Yeah. Oh, let me look you off and just jump this little dig behind him. Like, they do. But here's the thing. I can't get too mad because they don't have no time to get 2.5 seconds to throw the football. So it's like, yo, we want to run a deep over. We want to run some
You gotta max pro it. You gotta have that tight end with that back offset.
How much do you blame Stefanski for this? I mean, he's the OC. They don't have a ton of talent.
Listen, for this quarterback situation and for sticking with DeJuan Jones, like everybody has to take the blame.
Yeah,
you knew what this risk was.
Yeah.
You know? So
thank you for saying that. And it's not like these guys showed up and said, hey, put me on the team, coach. And they say, sure.
Right.
They went out and actively got these guys, put them on a squad, and said, these are the best we're going to roll with.
In 10 weeks, there'll be a situation that nobody saw coming. And it might be positive. Maybe Carson Schwarzenegger really is the rookie of the year, right? Maybe Isaiah Bond or Cedric Tillman has a breakout. But then it'll probably be losing guys and you'll be in a total mess. You'll be playing practice squad guys, and that's just what happens over the course of the season.
Yeah.
But to think that this guy was going to be your left tackle and no viable backup plan except Cornelius Lucas, like,
yeah, it was
malpractice is the word that comes.
Considering he never played the position and he'd been injured 2 years in a row.
Where is Tevin Jenkins at?
Yeah, why isn't he?
He might be next up. He might be next up to play tackle.
But he was a starter. Why is he? Why are these guys both playing over
he was
him?
signed in the end of free agency because of injury concerns. Teams, but the Browns gave him a guarantee to come in and be emergency tackle, backup guard, be ready to play.
Right.
You know, and he obviously has passed Zach Zinter. But the guards have been fine. Joel was able to play. Tevin practiced all week last week. Yeah. So in his career, Tevin's made cameos at guard, emergency situations.
So he's not really.
He's been a guard. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
The Bears lost 2 tackles 1 week. He played tackle the next 2 weeks.
Right. So he's not really.
He can do it, but he's not.
Yes. Yeah, they are extreme.
Could he be worse than what they're throwing out there, though?
That's a good question.
Good point. I don't know that he could be worse. I mean,
that's a good question.
We're saying how bad it is, so I don't know.
You have to hope Levinson gets better. You have to hope Munford gets ready. I mean, Whippler's even in the game last week because they don't have an extra tackle for that package. Right. Package they work on all week long, right? He has to come in and do it. Yeah. So Munford has started almost 20 games. He's played 3 full seasons.
Go Bucks!
He's ready if you get him out there.
Looking ahead to next year,
Tiger.
Yeah, got a Maslin and a McKinley guy on the same team.
Yeah, that's
looking ahead to next year, Zach. I'm curious. Like Greg Newsome's played well so far this year. I think we all thought he'd be gone at the end of the year,
man.
But he's played well back on the outside. He was obviously a first-round pick. What do you think their plan will be at the end of this year with him and Emerson?
Like everybody else that's up, let's see in 4 weeks.
Right, that's fair.
Because if he has real trade value, you have to have a discussion about it.
That's true.
If you're a 1-6 team.
Yeah, because he could bring you something back.
Now, if you're a semi-competitive team and he's playing like this and you want to extend him, because you invested in him from the start. This was a first-round pick of yours come through your system and now is playing really well.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. I always thought he would be traded before the Emerson injury. So, now how do you negotiate with Emerson? Bad year, bad injury. He's not going to get anywhere near.
No.
Yeah. This team is going to have major budget decisions to make because only 30-some guys are even under contract pool for next year.
30.
I was going to add. That was my second question. What is their money situation looking like? Because we sitting here and say, okay, well, bring Newsom back. Hey, bring Teller back. Hey, can I squint really closely and say, if Whippler ain't ready, bring Poaches back?
Whoa.
What type?
They got to keep hitting on these rookies like they did this year.
I mean, I'm just asking.
Luke will be ready.
Okay. If you do want to go out and say, for instance, you do want to use your picks to get a quarterback next year, and you pass on tackles. Do they have enough money to get a really good tackle in free agency? Yeah. What's their money looking
really
like?
Good tackles don't come in free agency.
Okay.
That's true. Why did somebody trade 4 picks for Laramie Tunsil?
Yeah.
Right, because he was available for whatever circumstance, and they had to go get him. So it's a great question. And there's so many layers to it, Garrett. Right now, Watson's cap number is $80 million next year. Okay.
He's the bank.
So you can keep him on the team, which obviously nobody wants to, or you can cut him, use the post June 1st, stretch it out, and then his cap number becomes even more, right? So
he's on the squad.
Teller doesn't have a contract, but he's got a $10 million hit. Njoku doesn't have a contract, but he's got a $20 million hit because he pushed all this money forward for last year and this year for Deshaun. Right. So you got all these decisions to make. So what does the cap look like? It depends. It varies with each move that you make and each decision that you make. But you're going to lock in a guy who's not going to be on your team for minimum $80 million of your cap. Cap's going to be about a quarter of your cap, more or less.
Are you going to England?
I am.
I know Jason is bummed that he's not able to go. Yeah. He's struggling with that. But
I'll be on Zoom next week for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you excited about doing anything in England besides the football?
The first time that I went to one of the Premier League matches, and it was awesome. So I'm hoping to do that again. There's not a great selection of games in London, so matches, games, whatever you're supposed to call them. But
that atmosphere is pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You seem like a hotel dude. Listen, you seem like a dude that's like, I'm doing my thing. I'm out. I'm not about to stand around all these people. Like,
well, I'm going to be sitting in the room watching the Guardians on my laptop.
That's
probably.
True.
Right.
What is it? 8 hours ahead or something?
5.
Oh, only 5. All right, Zach. Good stuff. Have a great trip to England.
Right.
Talk to you later.
all right, man.
All right, Zac Jackson, the Athletic, bringing us great stuff as always.